it's Jason Creel, and this is the Lawn Care Life. Today I'm with my friend Brian Fullerton, Brian's Lawn Maintenance, and we are going to talk through 10 potential customers. I'm going to ask Brian on a scale of 1 to 10 if he would keep them or fire them. 1 being, no, I don't want anything to do with that customer. 10 being, yeah, that's my ideal customer. Please send me more of them. So appreciate Brian being with us. We're down here at the Hype House, 2022 Hype House near Tampa, Florida. Presented by Entrepreneur Academy, which is Brian's resources. Go check that out. And also Caleb and Brittany Allman have the Hardscape Academy. So you can go check out those resources after the video. All right, Brian, thank you for being with us. And like I said, it's going to be a little different. I tried to mix it up. I know you've been on a lot of videos, and so I thought, let me do something a little different for Brian, see how it goes. And I've actually done this with a couple of people, and curious to hear your situation. So you understand the game here. 1 is terrible customer. I'm firing them. I don't want anything to do them. 10 is that's perfect customer. So just give them a score and then a little explanation about each one. Okay. To tell me why. So sure. Number 1, old lady who wants to talk to you for 10 minutes every time you come. Is that a 1? I'm sorry, I can't deal with that, or a 10 that she's great, or somewhere in the middle?
Hopefully I'm not a bad person for saying this, but a 1. I have to get rid of those kind of folks. Quick tip, if you want, what me and my guys have is we have a code where we cross our arms behind our back, right? So we kind of like do this, but with our arms behind our back, and that's code for help bail me out. So if you see my guys behind with their hands behind their back, it means, hey, come interrupt us, say there's a call, or we got to get to the next site.
But if you found that it's kind of the same people that do that every time, and eventually it's just like, this is not going to work out.
My first 10 years in business, we called it a cut and a conversation. So you always got a cut, and then we, for some reason, lingered just long enough to have the customer come out and say, hey, and it's nothing wrong with catching up with your customer, but you can't do it every day. I usually give our customers about 1 conversation per year. That's about what they get. So yeah, I'd say those are a 1, unfortunately.
All right, number 2. The customer that refuses to pick up the children's toys in the backyard. You know, the Nerf gun battle the night before, but it's like a permanent Nerf gun battle. So like regularly you're having to go.
Sure.
What did you just give those for?
I would say a 5. I'm willing to work with those folks because they can, suggest to the kids, obviously, to pick up the toys. If they're habitual offenders, then I think very quickly they're going to pendulum swing to a 1s. But I would say a 5. I'm willing to work with those folks. Sometimes you just have to train your customers, but sometimes it gets pretty gnarly when you have the Nerf darts, the lawn gnomes, the kids are planting like little trees out there, and I'm just like, hey, this isn't what we signed up for. We need to be in and out, or your price is going to be triple, so we can be as meticulous as possible. Yeah.
Understood on that. I think beyond those situations, you can at least have a conversation and give them a chance, Yes. And if they don't turn from their wicked ways, then we have to move on. So,
amen.
Number 3, tiny yard, super profitable. This kind of like in my mind, like exactly what I'm looking for. It's tiny, super profitable yard, but it's 8 minutes from your next nearest customer. Okay. Is that something you take on? Are you willing to drive 8 minutes for like a small, like say they pay $50, but you're in and out in 10 minutes, or 8 minutes or whatever, but you got to drive 8 minutes to get there.
If my route is within 8 minutes, like our perimeters, right? North, south, east, west, whatever. If it's within the route, I'll probably take it on. If my route is 7 minutes wide, I guess in that example, and they're outside of that route, then unfortunately it's a 1. We're not going to take them on.
Yeah, I'm saying it's basically 8 minutes from your next nearest customer. So like you've got 100 customers here, and then I've got to drive 8 minutes for that 1 yard.
No, we don't do like little outliers like that, unfortunately. Because usually what happens is it's not that customer that you get that's the issue. It's that you get that guy's brother or sister that's 8 more minutes. Yeah. And then you got that guy's, sister-in-law. You get them, and then the next season, the guy that you had quits. So now I'm 16 minutes out, right, doing the one that's probably actually really profitable. But now I'm like stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like, do I cancel them, or do I start a whole nother route 20 minutes away? And then you let that compound for a few years, it just gets a little dicey.
Understood.
I'm more on the 1.
Yeah, gotcha. You're a lot of 1s, and you got a lot of 1s on your list here. I don't disagree with it. You're either a fit or you're not a fit.
That's right. How to win friends and influence people over here, All
right, number 4. this customer is a good customer, except about twice a year they're asking you if you don't mind skipping my yard this time. Do you tolerate lawn skipping people?
It depends on the type of customer, but typically it's a one. So we, same thing, we will have that conversation one time. So you might get a new sign up in April and you mow all the way through July, and then it kind of slows down, right? Even in the subdivisions, might have a dry spell, or maybe somebody didn't turn their irrigation on. If they say, hey, can you just skip it? We'll usually say, hey, we'll skip it this week, because I like to be fair. Like if it doesn't need it, that's fine. However, two different parts of that. One, if they're not gonna keep up on the lawn, then they're just not a good fit for us. Or number two, they want to start jockeying our schedule, also not a good fit for us.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I have that conversation one time and say, hey, just to be totally honest with you, sir, the type of lawns in your subdivision, a nice subdivision like yours, there's a standard that we want to maintain, not only for your property, but one that I know your neighbors are going to appreciate as well. So I don't try to be the bad guy. I'm trying to put the peer pressure on the HOA, the subdivision, the city. And so I say a nice lawn like yours needs to be cut every week. And just to be honest with you, our company, and I blame the company, but not me, our company, the bad guy, only mows weekly. So unfortunately, I'd love to cut your lawn bi-weekly or every thrice week or whatever that would be. But my company, the company just doesn't offer that.
Yeah, one thing I like listening to your answers, you're keeping control of the business, and because not letting the customers start yanking you around, because that's when it gets very much unenjoyable.
Well, these are conversations we've started to have the last 5 years, which transformed the business. But all this was from the first 10 years in my company. This is our 17th season. The first 10 years were not very illustrious. So those conversations, those outlier customers telling us to skip a week or two, we've done all of that, and no wonder my business was all over the place and my finances were all over the place.
Getting a lot of guest appearances in today's video.
Bunch of famous people.
I'll tell you what, this is quite a privilege.
There you go.
Okay, the next person is constantly peeking through the window blinds, watching y'all as you work. Does that weird you out? Are you okay with it, or you're like, whatever,
That's a 10. I don't mind it. Doesn't bother me at all. We have our cleaning lady come over. I watch her, not like creepily, but I'm working and she's doing her professional job. Doesn't bother me at all. There's like the old bar one or something, or the construction one. Like if you watch, it's like certain amount of dollars per hour. If you help, certain other amounts of. If you want to give suggestions, that's a whole nother rate. And then if you want to get involved or something, right? It's like I like signs like that. You see them at like little flea shops or flea markets. But no, I don't mind if people or customers watch. To me, we always wave. I enjoy it, and usually it's the kids banging on the glass and waving to their favorite lawn guy, right?
Yeah, I like it when the kids are out there, because it's like they want to grow up and be able to ride a lawnmower.
Amen. Amen.
All right, number 6. This customer is a good customer, and they do pay their bill, but they're consistently late on paying. So you have to text them and say, hey, I'm sorry, I didn't get paid last time. But whenever you text them, they say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'll send it right over with an extra tip. Do you put up with the late payers? 0.
That would be not even a 1, that would be a 0.
Okay.
They would immediately not qualify. And I'll just be honest with you, we have a charge card on file system we use. We mow 4 times in a month, we cash out at the end of the month, that's it. It's a very simple system. The only other way to pay is with a check with a 5% prepaid discount at the beginning of the season. But again, my first 10 years, I would take Venmo, PayPal, Zelle Pay, Quick Pay, cash, check, card, gift cards, Bitcoin, whatever you wanted to use. And you know what? I go to the grocery store, they only take 1 or 2 ways to pay.
Yeah.
It's cash or check, or cash or card, right? So it's in the same thing with our businesses. You want to stay in control, not to be a control freak, but you have to put the terms on the customer. Don't let them kind of boss you around, because it sounds good when you have 5, 10, 20 customers. You get 50, 80, 100, 200, 500 customers, and now you're chasing Zelle Quick Pays and Venmos and Pay. It just turns into a smorgasbord of problems. Unfortunately, I guess it would start with a 5, right? Have that conversation, because I'm always willing to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Because you got to train and educate customers. So I guess it really kind of starts in those 5s. but very quickly it's like you get on the program or you're off the ship, off the train, and we got to move on.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I'm trying to make those changes myself, and it's just like your grocery store illustration. You can't take the food home and eat it, and 2 weeks later come back and pay them.
Nope.
we need our money today, and then you can have your food.
Hey, you can pay your credit card bill 2 weeks later.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Right.
But I just realized I would say I don't care if you're 8 or 80. I don't care if you got an email or trailer park to $1 million homes or whatever. 18 to 80, everybody's got a credit card.
Yeah.
And if not, you got a debit card. And if not, go get a prepaid debit card or credit card, and my company can take that information too.
All right, number 7. This customer likes to come out and give you advice on how to mow the grass. So they'd say, on ours, can you mow it lower? Can you mow it higher? Can you edge a little differently? Are you willing to take criticism and feedback from the customer?
I actually don't mind those conversations. I might be the weirdo because I like engaging with the customer because it gives me an opportunity to educate them. And vice versa. They get an opportunity to educate me. We don't know everything. But generally speaking, I'm going to probably lean like that's an 8 or a 10. I'm willing to have the conversation once, right? After that, I'm going to give my professional suggestion. So let's say they want it mowed high at 4 inches. And I know maybe, let's just say best practices is 3 inches or 3.5. I'm willing to have that conversation and say, hey, we can cut a little bit higher, but maybe we don't want to mow at 4 inches. Maybe it's just not a healthy best practice, or pick your service. I'm gonna have that conversation with that customer, hopefully educate them about, hey, I understand, there's an old one, feel, felt, found, right? Hey, I understand how you feel. Honestly, I felt the same way, but what I found is that mowing at 4 inches makes your grass more susceptible to, disease and damage for the turf. So my suggestion would be, let's go with 3.5. And so if they adopt it, I know I got somebody who's coachable and is willing to listen, and then we can, put them towards the 10 category that we like them.
Yeah.
If they're like, hey, it's my way or the highway, it's my lawn, my way, I understand that because it's kind of true, but what my company offers, I have to keep the portfolio in line. And so if they get a little sassy, unfortunately, after that conversation, they may not fit. So it's really up to the customer whether or not they want to let us do what we're there to professionally do.
Yeah, I like that the feel, felt, found thing. But what I have found, like I've had customers they want it like cut really low. They say, hey, I got weeds all in my yard. Well, you just cut it really low so the weeds aren't enough. Which could possibly put a lot of stress on the grass, which is bad for everything. So sometimes people just they're sticklers, and sometimes you just realize customers aren't a good fit. You can't make them all happy. All right, number 8. 3 dogs in the backyard with no attempt at all to clean up after the dogs. Okay. Is that something you talk to them about, or it's just like, come on, man, we got give me a little help here?
That's funny right there. We've all dealt with that, and if you haven't, I'm sure you will shortly thereafter. What's really interesting? A lot of these questions, I'm not like really brash one way or the other. I'm willing to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Right, because as you can imagine, if I have your customer that's got a bunch of dog waste all over the place, I'm going to tell them one time. Now, I'm very firm on dog waste because it's disgusting. If you have that out there, it's going to be a $10 fee per incident. So if I'm cleaning up piles and stuff, we're talking 10, 20, 30, 40 bucks.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the long story short. I shouldn't even see but that morning's doggy mess out there, right? Because I'm not expecting them at 7 o'clock when they're rushing out to work to go clean up every single pile.
Yeah.
Okay, or that last pile. But all the other piles, you know when somebody hasn't cleaned it up since the 6.5 days before you were there last, and there's 31 piles out there. Look, there's a difference between 1 or 2 piles out there and 16 piles out there, like you were just saying. So we have the conversation, take 2 minutes to educate the customer. Here's the company policy. It's not my policy. Well, I'm an owner operator. Yeah. But it's the company policy that we charge for pet waste, because here's what we say. We don't want to track anything lawn to lawn, yard to yard. By the way, your neighbors have dogs. Would you want me to bring something over from their dog over to your dog and potentially have your dog get sick? Well, I don't want to do that from your lawn to my next customer's lawn. So sanitation is huge. We give them one chance. After that, we start slapping them with $10 fees. If it's really gnarly, we just let the customer go. And I'll tell you what, you might stomach that in April, May, June. Once you get to August and it's 95 degrees out and you start trekking through that stuff, you're going to decide really quick if they're a good customer for you or not.
Well, and you catch one just right with a string trimmer, and it's unpleasant. It's like, I don't want to wear this. And I'm wiping it off my sunglasses. It's not. I mean, we're talking from truth. I'm not making stuff up here.
Yeah, or you have a fresh zero-turn tire that's got the thickest of tread, and it just grinds in there, not to be gross, and it sticks with you for about the half of the day, or even worse yet, you take it inside the enclosed trailer, and it just, it's disgusting. I don't like that at all.
All right, number 9. I don't know how hilly the areas you have are, but if not, picture a hilly yard, but it's you can't get a zero turn or a commercial mower. You got to basically push it. Is what I'm saying. So it's too hilly.
Yep.
Are you willing to take a hilly yard? Obviously, you probably charge more, but are you just saying no? We don't do hilly yards.
It's a zero for me. It's a zero because it doesn't matter how much money I can charge for it. I don't want to put my guys in a liability situation where they could fall, tumble, spin, wet morning dewy grass that zero turn can slide. We have one. It was a 3-ledge kind of a drop off.
Yeah.
So the bottom area we would do, the second area was a mulch bed, and the third area was about 2 mower passes wide, and it was about a 10-degree slope, but then as it went to the railroad tie retaining wall, the grade went down to like 20 degrees, let's say. So it was kind of flat, and then it just kind of did this. And we can mow up and down, but if you catch that front left tire and you kind of hook foot down, well then you're going into the below bed retaining wall. It's just not happening.
Yeah.
It's not happening for my guys. We're not push mowing it. There's no way. For me personally, I'm a zero on that. It's kind of tough because some areas, Tennessee for example, a lot of hills, Carolina, a lot of hills. You don't really get the option to maybe tell all those kind of customers no. Worst case scenario, charge a good premium for that, for the extra time or equipment, but just be safe. For the love of God, be safe out there. But for us, generally speaking, we're a zero on anything that's really crazy or risky or dangerous.
All right, number 10, this customer leaves you a generous year-end tip, but they also regularly complain. Mm-hmm. Are you willing to take a little complaints if you know they give you an extra $100 at the end of the year, or is it finally just kind of wear on you where you're like, all right, man, you either want us or you don't?
It depends if we've had their one-a-year conversation, Jason. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody gets one tap.
I got you. Get one complaint a year.
You get one touch, one pro conversation or one complaint conversation.
That's right.
So I guess that would be my funny ending to that. It all depends.
Yeah.
I'm a softie, I'll take anything with customers yelling or complaining or whatnot. That's fine, as long as it's not a disrespectful conversation where they're putting us down or my guys down. We'll normally take it because we appreciate the feedback, right? I heard somebody say a complaint is just somebody voicing their feedback to giving you a second chance. A complaint is just a second chance.
Yeah.
So I'd be naive to think that we're flawless or impeccable, right? We're not perfect. So I'll take that complaint, and if it's legitimate, then we messed up, and I'm really appreciative that they gave us an opportunity to square up with that. It's a second chance. However, if it's nitpicking or it's complaining or it's fussiness, fussy people don't really last long in my company.
Yeah, no, I found some people, it's obvious that they are not. It's the people that, and you're a big Chick-fil-A fan, the people that leave the negative reviews at Chick-fil-A, that if Chick-fil-A can't make them happy, then I probably can't either.
That's true. There's always a critic out there, and sometimes you find them in lawn care, go figure.
That's right.
I heard somebody say, even if you had Jesus out on the street corner giving out gold bars, there'd still be somebody that would criticize what he's doing.
That's right.
So I always remember that. But fussy is one thing. Complaining is one thing, critical and negative, that's a whole nother conversation.
That's right.
Again, it kind of goes back to that cutting a conversation days. That just wore me down, and you know what, get rid of that stuff, shed it. Instead of being this big Boeing 747 going through the sky, be a little Cessna, be nimble, and take the customers that you enjoy. Have fun.
Yeah.
Keep it lighthearted is my answer.
I agree. You donate your right kidney and save their life, and they wanted their left kidney. It's like, come on, man.
That's a good.
Anyway,
I've heard that one, but that's true.
I made it up. Thanks, Brian, for being on the show. Appreciate it. And now your podcasting is Fullerton Unfiltered, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And Brian's Lawn Maintenance on YouTube and
Yes, sir.
Instagram and Facebook. If you just Google Brian's Lawn Maintenance, Brian Fullerton, you're going to find him in a lot of places. So we really appreciate you joining us, and we'll talk to you guys later.
All right, see you guys.